Okay, it's Coach Schuman here again with Brad Vaccaro, one of our wide receiver coaches, our outstanding wide receiver coach at the National Underclassmen Combine events, and he's been with me for the past 5 years, and he's seen many of the top athletes since we started this in 2005, way back when we had Tyrod Taylor, who is now on the Maxwell Award watch list and the Heisman Trophy Award watch list, and he was a standout back then. And then there's Joe Hayden, who will be up for the Jim Thorpe Award as the top defensive back of the year, and he was with us in 2005. So that was back when we had 141 athletes in 2005. Now we have 17,000 athletes, and this year in 2009, we had a particular tight end / defensive end / linebacker that was absolutely outstanding, that came all the way from the state of Oregon. And he came a far way. Coach Vaccaro actually got to see him at our Portland, Oregon event, where I believe he went 10-10.5 in the broad jump. I think that was the thing that stuck out the most about him. But even more importantly, he went 10-10.5 in the broad jump, but at 6'3", 225 pounds, that's even more outstanding because he's a huge guy who can also move and be real athletic. But let's take all that aside. Forget about the testing, which he's outstanding. His athleticism, his determination, we saw it at the University of Oklahoma in our top prospect camp. We saw it when he was, you actually saw it when he was at our Oregon event. What are some of the things that you noticed about Colt Lyerla? And before you even go on about it, Barry Every from Rivals.com, first time saw him at the University of Oklahoma, and we pointed him out, and immediately he believes he's going to be invited to the U.S. Army All-American game. So that's the kind of athleticism he has. What did you think about Colt Lyerla?
Colt is hands down the most impressive physical specimen we've seen. We just mentioned Ross, who I thought was probably the best all-around football player, but I think Colt's the best physical specimen, period. And the thing about him is he's so versatile. He could, like you said, I honestly think he could play D1 at all three positions. He could be a linebacker, he could be a DN, he could be a tight end, and I know he wants to play tight end, but I think he might end up being a linebacker, and he's that athletic. He's 6 foot, almost 6'4", he's 220 pounds, and his kid's only a sophomore. That's what you forget, because I've seen the kid for the last 2 years, and a lot of these kids are juniors now, and some of them, some of the kids we mentioned before, they're already in college and all that. I can't believe this kid is only a sophomore, and he's the strongest, most explosive, most impressive physical specimen we've seen, whether a freshman, 8th grader, or junior, or anything we've seen in the last few years. Kid's unbelievable. So to me, the most impressive thing was at his size, how athletic he was. It was unreal.
Well, I tell you, one of the crazy things was in our 7-on-7s, and you weren't actually out there at the University of Oklahoma, but in our 7-on-7s, his shirt ripped.
Yeah, he was shredded, right?
He was Tarzan.
Yeah.
I wish I was built the way he was built.
Yeah, he's a monster.
But I mean, he's just, you forget that he's only a sophomore. And he was at our Ultimate 100 West Coast last year when he was a freshman. And he did very well there. But I mean, physically from his freshman year to his sophomore year, I mean, he's unbelievably impressive. He's probably going to be a minimum of 4-star athlete. Most likely, if he progresses at Hillsborough High School in Oregon as a football player, he could potentially be a 5-star athlete. And he'll join a long line of guys that were 5-star athletes, which Tyrod Taylor was the first back in 2005 from our National Underclassmen and Ultimate 100 camp. This year it stands out for the class of 2010. Dom Espinoza was the #1 center in the country. Shoot the class in 2009. Mason Walters, who's going to the University of Texas. Dom Espinoza is also going to the University of Texas, committed to the University of Texas. He was the #1 center in the country for the 2009 class. And then this year coming up, we already know of a handful of guys leading the way with Robert Woods, who was at our National Underclassmen Combine event in California back in 2008, running crisp routes. And he's already a 5-star athlete. So a long line of the athletes that are from the National Underclassmen Combine that are 5-star athletes and top-level athletes, and we believe that Colt Lyerla is going to be one of the next guys in that line of top athletes that have come through the National Underclassmen Combine events. One of the other amazing things I was just checking out yesterday, just going through our 2008, the list that we came out for our Ultimate 100, top 100 nationally. That was just the kids that came through our Ultimate 100 events last year, and 91 of the 100 kids have a Division I offer.
That's not bad.
91.
I'm pretty sure Colt will have one, no problem, too. And the other thing that I noticed about Colt, and I want to mention, is what a great personality and what a great attitude he had.
Oh.
And again, I tend to say this a lot, because the kids who stand out the most, and the most important to me, is the way they behave and their attitude. And he won the overall MVP. It was hands down. It was no one even close, even though that was a pretty good event. And instead of him, just saying, thanks and walking away, he shook the hands of every single coach there. He introduced himself to the rivals guy. He said thank you to the other kids who participated. That was amazing. And if you watch the video of that event, which I'm sure we've put it up somewhere, you'll even see when I'm handing out awards, one of the things I say to the kids at the end of the day, I said, now that's exactly how to behave as a top-notch athlete, because he's humble, but yet he's confident, and yet he's a real nice kid.
Absolutely. He does some amazing things on the field. But you know what? If we don't point him out, like if we didn't point him out to Barry Everett and some of the other rivals guys, you know what? He'll go through the course of the day and he won't even come up to them. He's not like one of those kids that will go up and bombard us or bombard one of the rivals guys and say, hey, look at me. His athleticism, his on the field presence takes care of itself. When he jumped over in Oklahoma and he went over to linebacker, at first I thought he was going over to linebacker to cover the running backs. He went over and covered the wide receivers.
Yeah, I believe it.
And locked them down.
Yeah, he did that at the Portland event too.
That's amazing. And then he went inside and he covered the the running backs and locked those guys down. So that kid is going to be something special. And one of the things that I like, the thing that I think makes our event maybe different than any other event, is we go in with that whole unbiased approach. We don't know who the kids are from Adam. And one of the nice things about seeing so many athletes is that you see so many good kids. So if a kid comes up to you and says, hey, I'm really good, watch me, say, hey, you know what, I don't have to worry about, I'll go out and see it when you go into the one-on-ones. If you're good enough, you'll be able to prove it. And finding guys like Colt Lyerla and Robert Woods last year and Dom Espinoza, those kind of players who went from, they might have got, they would have got Division I offers because they were that good of players. But the level of exposure and recruitment that they received by coming through, that level just, it's out of the stratosphere. And that's what it's all about. Colt Lyerla, he would have, someone would have found him eventually. You can't walk around that good of an athlete without someone finding out. But now all of a sudden, as a sophomore, he's on the main stage. He's one of the top guys, and nobody in the country is not going to know who Colt Lyerla is. And he's going to go from his first day junior year, he's going to get offers right away. And he's going to go from a guy who might have had it being in Oregon, maybe the University of Oregon, maybe Oregon State, maybe some of the California schools, maybe at Washington. Outside the Pac-10, he may not have gotten recruited. Now, everybody in the country. That's right. Everybody in the country is going to want him. So, Coach Schuman here with Brad Vaccaro. We're just talking a little bit off the record on some of these things, but we get so excited about the events, and now we have such a tremendous amount of downtime. It's time for us to shoot some things and express some of the things that we've seen throughout the course of the year so we can keep you in the loop. All right, thank you.